Greetings and salutations. Welcome to this very special presentation we have for you here at Neuroculture. I am your host, Ryan of Neuroculture, and on this special presentation, we are going to be discussing the hottest book series going today, in my opinion, featuring my favorite writer of the moment. This is all about Abraham Snow and his adventures and all the craziness that ensues. Specifically, we're going to be talking about Snow, written by Bobby Nash, Series 1, which contains the first 6 novels of this series. Now, also chiming in on this adventure with us, if you want to know more about a character and get to the heart of the matter, why not go straight to the source? Please welcome our special guest, the writer of the hit series known as Snow. Please welcome Bobby Nash. Bobby, welcome to the program. How are you, my man?
I am wonderful, Ryan. Thanks for having me back.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much for being here. Now, if you have any questions for Bobby Nash regarding Snow, anything related to Abraham Snow, his adventures, some of the things he's been through, some of the things that may lie within his future, maybe, huh? Let us know in the chat. Let us know in the comments. We're going to be taking those as they come in. Also, I want to let you know this is a spoiler heavy discussion. Spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. Warning, you've been warned. If you have not read Snow, written by Bobby Nash, if you haven't heard of it, you don't want to know anything about it, you want to go in completely clean, and you want to go in, well, if you want to go in cold, if you know what I'm saying, then turn off this video, take this video that is ridiculously good looking, save it in your watch later list after you've had a chance to read the first 6 novels, which contains series 1 of Snow, written by our guest who is here with us right here, right now, known as Bobby Nash. So with that being said, Snow. What exactly is snow? Well, snow falls from the sky when the winter season is going on, but we're not talking about that. No, 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 no. Snow. Abraham Snow is a former undercover operative who has turned into a private investigator due to being gunned down on a South American airstrip. Half an inch is what stands between life and death. He was shot a few times. One of those bullets was only half an inch away from his own heart, which is crazy. It's crazy. Half an inch is all that stands between life and death. And because of that, he was trailing a man by the name of Miguel Ortega, leader of a criminal syndicate, criminal organization, if you will. So, because of his injuries, he is no longer a part of the undercover services. He goes back to his home in what is known as Summersville, Georgia, and he turns himself into a PI because he still, not only does he want to find out how his cover got blown, who or what got his cover blown, who really is Miguel Ortega, what is going on behind closed doors with his criminal syndicate, and also he's a PI, so he's trying to solve cases on the side in his hometown of Somersville while recovering from his injuries. He still has some shrapnel that's still embedded in his system, embedded in, near his heart, if you will. And he gets roped into these crazy missions, these crazy adventures. So think of it as an homage to certain things, such as the Rockford Files, maybe Kojak, Burn Notice to be a little bit more modern because that show came out just a number of years ago. And the action, the adventure, and a bit of suspense, I would say, in this series known as Snow ensues. So that is what the series of Snow is about in a general sense. Bobby, before I share my overall thoughts about this and what I thought about series 1 of Abraham Snow, I'm just curious, what was the process like for you coming up with this character and this story involving Abraham Snow and the people that are, whether his friends or his enemies? How did it all come about?
It was one of those weird kind of on the fly moments. I had several little ideas of things that were kind of in an idea file. Sometimes we get little snippets of either a scene, like the opening scene where he gets shot through returning. We see him driving down the road after he's got out of the hospital. In my head, I saw that as the opening of a movie. I didn't have the ability to get the movie made, but that was in there. I also had a few other ideas that when I mixed them all together, kind of made Snow happen. But Snow came together really quickly. I got an email from a buddy, Paul Bishop, who is an author, and he was telling me that he was doing some work with this publisher. They were in the music industry, but they were looking to take the digital download format for books and do a straight to ebook several series. And so they were like, we gave him your name. He'd like you to pitch him something now. And so I was like, okay. And so I start grabbing things just And so I start pulling ideas, out of this, that have just been cataloged back there. And I mentioned the opening scene. I described that and threw together a few other ideas I had in my head, and it became Snow, which is weird because up until that conversation, he was not named Snow. He was actually, his last name was Hunt. And my original idea was to call it like Hunt's Bounty. He would be a bounty hunter. And as I was telling the story to this publisher, that's when it changed to Snow and private detective as opposed to bounty hunter. It just kind of happened in the moment. Which, sometimes I always say you should trust your characters. And when you trust your characters, you get those type of things happen that, make a series or make a story work for me, is when the characters kind of take over. And that's what happened there. So that happened. So I wrote Snowfalls. It came out through them as an ebook. The company unfortunately went out of business, and when I got my rights back, I had written these novellas because they were looking for ebook novellas. And at that point in time, I did try to shop it around to other publishers, but I didn't. None of the publishers I talked to were interested in doing novellas. They wanted full, 90 to 100,000 word novels, and I had kind of gotten into the novella, keeping it short, feel of it for this series, and so I decided to just do them myself. I felt that if I went and made them longer, it would kill some of what I loved about them, which is that fast pace, quick adventure type thing. So I made the decision to do them myself, re-release them myself. So I re-released Snowfalls, and I had already written the next two. So I wrote those, and I had written the second one. I was writing the third one when that happened, and so I did that, and just decided to do them myself. I was going to kind of follow the same model, release ebooks, and then every 3 I would collect in paperback. Somewhere along the line, I decided that I could release the paperbacks of the individual novellas, because I do a lot of conventions and events and things. It would be, have stuff to show off, because it's one thing to talk about your stuff and just say, hey, I got this ebook, thing you can do. But it's another thing to hold up a book and go, check this out, And so I started printing them just for conventions. But I kind of fell in love with that smaller size, and that kind of became the model going forward for my indie publishing company, Ben Books, was to do those smaller size novellas, because I do that with the Sheriff Myers books as well. I kind of follow that same format. And so, yeah, so it's so that's how it started. It was one of those things where it's just like, hey, a publisher wants to talk to you. Mass panic. You pull out, you start, you dig around, because that happens to me a lot. You dig around, and I'll pull 2 or 3 ideas that I didn't realize went together until you're looking at it and you're like, I need something, and you pull bits from 2 or 3 places and go, oh, those fit together. I didn't realize that, and you kind of go from there.
Oh, excellent stuff. Excellent stuff. Once again, if you have any questions about anything related to the Abraham Snow, the Snow universe, if you will, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. We're going to be keeping it on as we go throughout the course of the show. Once again, this is a spoiler-heavy discussion, so we are going to be mentioning spoilers, major events that do occur within this series. So if you haven't read it yet, you want to go in completely clean, completely blind, and you don't want to know anything about it, you can take this video, save it in your watch later list, and after you've had a chance to read the great series known as Snow, written by Bobby Nash, who is our guest here on this special presentation, let us know in the chat. Let us know afterwards after you've had a chance to read it, because it is a great series. I am going to share more of my thoughts as we go throughout the course of this presentation. But also, so my next thing for you here, Bobby, you have Abraham Snow. You have this character. He's going on these adventures. He's also trying to find out what or who blew his cover. What exactly happened? And he's after this man known as Miguel Ortega, who he believes is the head of a crime syndicate, or maybe he's the lieutenant, the second head of it, whatever. So go throughout the course of the story, you have supporting characters that are in the Abraham Snow world, such as his grandfather, I believe it's Archer Snow. You also have some of his best friends known as Tom McClellan, an FBI agent. He and Abraham are good buddies. You also have Big John Salmon, who's also known Abraham for a number of years, and he kind of aids him along the way. Got Samson Brooks, who also lends a hand later on in the series. A little bit of spoilers there, yo. you got all these different, and then you got the strange relationships between him and his father, and
Yeah,
maybe a little bit of his grandfather and things like that. So I'm just curious. You have Abraham Snow, but what was it like coming up with these ideas or coming up with these supporting characters, and how do they fit into the Abraham Snow universe? What was that process like for the supporting characters?
yeah. I decided that I wanted to, because I guess it's an easy thing to do where you go, okay, I'm going to create these supporting characters and they will appear in every book.
Mhm.
And I didn't really want that. I wanted more of a realistic feel, because not everybody gets involved in everything. And I was also as you mentioned earlier, there's a bit of the Rockford Files or uh, Burn Notice or even a little Magnum PI, and a lot of the times the people that surrounded those characters were not in every story. They came in when they were necessary, and I like that idea where you know Big John doesn't have to get involved in everything. I think that makes it more special when he shows up because he's not there all the time, and you don't have to put them in stories where they wouldn't have anything to do. And so when I once I realized that it really it's Snow's book, and so everything that happens kind of happens to us through a Snow filter, I guess. It's it all has to impact him in some way. And so, but I as with everything, it all starts with characters with me, and I really fell in love with these characters. Even the villains, I fell in love with a lot of these characters, and just that helps me get into their mindset, get to know them, and give them cool stuff to do. Um, you mentioned Miguel Ortega. That was one where I liked the character, but as we were going on, he turned out not to be as strong a character as I hoped. And through no fault of the character, through fault of the story or me, um, he just he didn't he wasn't as big a villain as I expected him to be.
Mhm.
And so,
He
but
wasn't a Hans Gruber.
right, he kind of,
He's no Darth
he
Vader.
yeah, he kind of gets I don't know, toned down a little bit. He just doesn't he's not as big a bad as I had originally planned. But again, with the trusting of your characters, there was a character in there who was not originally intended to do more than just show up one time, who said, "By the way, I'm the real villain here." Yes, this is where we're getting to the spoilers
This
parts, but
Yeah, I was eventually gonna ask you
yeah,
about the antagonistic characters featured in this series, but I guess we could just
yeah,
dive into it right now. So you mentioned
okay,
Miguel Ortega. Originally,
yeah,
he was gonna be the big bad,
yeah.
and
He was,
I'm reading this, and I'm seeing, okay, he's the bad guy. Eventually, Abraham's gonna figure out who he really is. What exactly is his motive? Did he blow his cover, or was it something else?
yeah.
And it goes on from there. But before I get into more spoilers, I'm sorry, Bobby, I didn't mean to throw you off there, but you were saying something about
I was
Miguel
gonna say, well,
Ortega's
yeah,
character.
no, but you're absolutely right. He was in my original idea of, and
Hmm.
I'm not an outliner. I have very loose plots,
Oh, okay.
which is why this worked.
Hmm.
Um, I had the first six plotted out because I knew,
Oh,
even though you're getting six
yes.
individual stories, it's one big
Yeah.
story, and I knew that book six was going to bookend book one,
Hmm.
and that would be where Snow and Miguel Ortega finally are face to face again, and this will be the end of it. Then, as I'm writing, and because this is a series, when I would get to the end of a story of a book, and I try to give you a whole story in each book,
Hmm.
but then I do an epilogue at the end that leads you into the next book.
Hmm.
So as I'm writing the epilogue to book three, that leads you into book four, and I already kind of knew what was going to happen in book four, but I didn't have the inciting thing that got Snow there yet. So I figured I'd work that out. So as I'm writing the epilogue, I realized that, oh, we found a body. Great. Okay, this body will be the thing that gets Snow in here. His former handler has discovered this dead guy, and well, who would be important enough that would bring Snow in? And at that point, Miguel Ortega is dead. which totally screwed up my next 3 books because,
Hmm.
he's supposed to be, he's supposed to be our big bad. But one of those just magical things that happens when you write, the story became so much more interesting with him dead than, with him being around. Because not only did it make Daniela step to the forefront, who I think she is a much stronger villain than Miguel Ortega was. It also gave me a chance to play with not only the organization, but how she, it's that trope we've seen so many times where, someone pretends to be something they're not. And so having her be the actual brainchild behind the organization, all that came out of just, we need a villain. I'm going to kill this guy. She's going to step up. And then she started explaining to me what she was doing, why she was doing it. She also has a more personal connection to Snow than Miguel Ortega did. She was the person on the ground that he dealt with when he was undercover. They had a relationship.
Mm-hmm. It
They
was spicy.
it got spicy
Yeah.
at times. There
It's
were
it's yeah.
yeah
Got
there
crazy, got wild, got intimate, and you're thinking,
yeah
who's playing who here? You
right.
know?
And so when we
Yeah.
get to their final confrontation in book
Oh,
6,
snow
it
down. Snow down.
it
Yeah.
becomes more. It's a more interesting, intense showdown because of their interpersonal relationship. That whereas Miguel Ortega, he didn't really have that because he only met Miguel Ortega once, and that was when he shot him. He actually had never met him before. His undercover thing was to meet him, to get eyes on him so they could arrest him. So having Daniela kind of take that role
Oh,
made the it reminds I love it when the villains and the heroes have those great moments. Like I'm a huge fan of Justified. I think we've talked about that before. The Raylan
yes.
Boyd relationship.
Raylan Givens and Boyd
Yes,
Crowder. Yeah,
I think having those,
it's great.
having some kind of relationship. So even as Daniela is, she goes out of her way here to not kill him. She's like, look, if you just stay out of this, we'll call it a day. And he won't do it. He won't let
Mhm.
it go. And so, I mean, she does give him multiple opportunities to walk away. And he even does the same to her, gives her opportunities to, let's just call this off.
Mhm.
But, they're both very prideful people. They're both very stubborn people. And, it leads to gunfire.
It leads to something, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. So, but but in terms of because you were asking about the secondary characters or the supporting cast,
Mhm.
she is the villain, but she really is a supporting cast member. Her because she does appear in most of the books.
Mhm.
There's a couple where she's not in, but even if she's not doing anything major, we do follow her a bit and see what she's up to and what she's doing and how
Mhm.
because he, Snow getting that deep into the operation screws up all of her plans, and so she has to put a new plan in place, which means getting rid of a lot of the old players. So yeah, so I mean, so she's not just the villain; she's a nice supporting character, in her own right. Which is
For
why she
sure.
lives, because originally, Ortega was going to die. So when she took his place, I figured she would die, but she's just too good a character to kill.
You know, yeah, and granted, you segued into our next question here, which would have been, what was it like writing for the antagonist? In this case, Miguel
Mhm.
Ortega and Daniela Cardozo, and you just answered it wonderfully, I might add.
Oh, thank you.
But as far as the characters go, yeah. So here's some spoilers here for you. So we learn in book 4, I think it's called Snow Trapped, when they're in the building.
Hmm.
Elizabeth Walker is Abraham Snow's former, partner, maybe agent in charge, and they
Hmm.
they worked closely together and all that
She was
stuff.
his boss. Yeah,
Yeah, she was his
she
boss, but
was
there
the
was
boss.
also maybe there was some sparks flying.
Well, Yeah,
Just a
Snow's a
little,
bit of a ladies' man,
bit of a ladies' man. By the way,
That's right.
Charles F. Millhouse is in the building. He says, "Gosh,
Yes.
Bobby, you're on everything."
This is my
He
third podcast of the week.
he is. He is. Charles, you are so right. Bobby Nash is everywhere on every show, every network, every piece of the interwebs wants a piece of Bobby Nash. Why? Because they're realizing how great of a writer and a great gentleman this man is, and you got to put him on your show because he's going to boost your ratings and your followers tenfold. See, Bobby, I'm giving you some credit here.
No, I'll take it.
So, Charles F. Millhouse, thank you so much for being here. By the way, Charles F. Millhouse, he's another great writer. If you want to know more about him, go to stormgatepress.com. Find out more about him there. He's got a lot of stuff going on with his stuff. So giddy up.
Charles wrote a story for one of the Snow shorts.
Yes,
so he
yes,
wrote
he
a
did.
Snow short. I wrote one of the Snow shorts originally appeared in Pulp Reality 2, which Stormgate publishes. So yeah, we bounce that stuff around a lot.
It's great, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And thank you so much for being here, Charles. If you have any questions for Bobby about the Snow universe, let us know in the chat. Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like and share this video for those of you maybe watching or listening to this. Make sure you share this video with all 200 of your closest friends. You're going to like the way you look after watching or listening to this presentation about Snow written by Bobby Nash. We guarantee it. And we learned in Snow Trapped, while Elizabeth Walker and Abraham Snow are about to have a meeting in a building, there's a heist going on at the same exact time while Abraham Snow finds out that Miguel Ortega has been shot, he's been killed, he's done, it's over, supposedly. It's not. It's far from over. And then you learn that Daniela Cardoza, during a meeting with the other heads of the Miguel Ortega organization, who also carry that alias known as Miguel Ortega, there's like 12 or 13 of them. She gathers all of them at a resort in this meeting room, right? It's in a conference room. And then she takes one of them out with her and she goes out to her limousine, but she leaves the other members of the organization in that resort, in that building, right? In that meeting room. Guess what she does next, folks? She takes this out, detonates the whole thing, blows up the building, blows up the resort, and says, "Hey, goodbye. You're not worth anything. You've put our whole organization at risk with everything that's gone on between your illicit activities and Abraham Snow crawling up our backs. We don't want it anymore." So she kills them. She kills all of them except one, but the young woman who was also carrying the Miguel Ortega alias, she doesn't live very long because she's like, "No, I'll serve you, do whatever you want." "Yeah, of course you will." Then she takes out her gun, puts a bullet in her skull. She's dead. And then her secretary, known as, I believe it's Suzanne Pearl, if I'm not mistaken, shows up in a limousine, says, "Excuse me, miss, we're ready to go. Let's go." And you find out that Daniela Cardoza is the actual head of this whole entire shebang known as the Miguel Ortega Criminal Organization. She's running it.
And none of them knew.
None of them knew. She was just posing as a secretary or a speaking, a talking head from Miguel Ortega. It's like, "I speak for Miguel Ortega. If you have any questions about his business, you can come directly to me." No, she is the queen. She is the Black Widow. She is calling the shots. Yeah. So you find that twist out. You find out even more. And then during the events of Book 5, which in this case is known as Snowstar, I believe it is.
Yes.
Abraham Snow reconnects with an old friend, and this is Melanie Shaw, but she was known as I believe it's the Adventures of the Amazing Woman on television.
Yes. Her name was Melanie Shaw. When she became an actor, she changed it to Miranda Shake because that's more of an actor name.
Yeah, a Hollywood type name, a famous type of Hollywood name. So in that storyline, just once again, we're going into spoiler territory here. We find out that Abraham had a bit of a thing with her while he was undercover. They had a brief fling because they knew each other since they were kids. And during the book known as Snowstar, we found out that she has died, and they're ruling it as a suicide, but Abraham Snow is not convinced. He believes it was murder. So between suicide and murder, which actually happened here? What exactly happened to Melanie Shaw? How did she die?
Yeah.
What was the case behind it?
Yeah. Well, first of all, yes. The reason that when they ran into each other while he was undercover, she was the first person he had seen from his old life in well over a decade. Right? Actually, almost closer to 2
which
2
is
decades.
Crazy. A long time.
And so there's that moment because that long undercover, and he wasn't always just that one case, but that long spending your time undercover, you kind of long for that slice of home,
A bit of normalcy, if you will.
And so a little familiarity, and so they get together there, and Excuse me. Sorry, you put me in front of a microphone. I'm gonna belch. It's just weird. It's the weirdest thing.
You ever heard of
Um,
professionalism here, Bobby? No,
I
I'm
know,
kidding. Go
right?
ahead.
But so yes, so she is actually the person who blows his cover, but
Accidentally.
accidentally because, and we set
Completely
her
an accident.
I say I set her appearance up in the second book, Snowstorm. We actually talk about her briefly
Mm.
so that because I this Who Kill Amazing Woman story, I have had this plot. It wasn't always a snow plot, but I've had this plot in my head since 1990.
Wow.
And I've been wanting to tell this story.
It's 32 years.
And yeah, and
That's a long
no,
time there, Bobby boy.
I never found the right place for it. I tried a couple times. One time I tried to write it as a comic, and it just didn't. It just it never materialized. But the idea of this plot has been in my head since then. And so this seemed the perfect place to tell it. And so I kind of thought that when I was doing Snowstorm, that's why I kind of threw it in there. It's like, if hey, you know what? If I do it, great. I've set it up. If I don't, yeah, it's great too. So I'm writing this, which is book 5, Snowstar, and so I've set up to where they have reconnected. She is a quite the international TV and movie star,
Mhm.
and
Well known.
they have just relaunched the series that
Series.
made her famous, which was a superhero show called The Adventures of Amazing Woman.
Mhm.
Kind of a Wonder
I
Woman-ish
was gonna
type.
say,
Yeah,
you hear amazing, you hear all these other words,
yeah.
and you're thinking, Wonder
So
Woman. See
so
what I did there?
but yeah, but this was
There
also
you
at the
go.
time too, they were bringing back so many shows, so I thought, "Oh,
That's
that's
true.
a good." So she's back.
They rebooted Hawaii Five O. They
Yeah.
rebooted Magnum PI. They rebooted a couple of the NCIS
Mhm.
shows and Law and Orders and all that jazz. So it just kind of made sense.
Yeah, and so she gets to come back and reprise her role, and she's
Hmm.
on this. But we also learn too, the it's an old story, but stardom does come with its own share of demons,
Demons takes its toll.
and years
Yeah.
she has picked up an addiction or 3, and
Yeah.
some bad habits, and she's trying to get over it, get better, get past it, get through it, and she's had moments where she is, but there's I had a fun's not the right way to say it, but I had a great moment of clarity when I was writing her at the beginning of the book, and where the what she calls her demon is talking to her, and that's her what she calls her addiction, and how one little thing going wrong because Snow had to run off to take care of something, which was catching the people from the building in the book before, because they get away at the end of that. So he's found them. They're going to go get them the next day. So he leaves early on New Year's Eve, and she doesn't get to ring in the new year with him.
Oh,
And that one little
devastating.
disappointment is just enough because she's at this big gallows. There's a lot of free flowing alcohol, and that's just enough to make her make the one little mistake that then starts the domino effect. And then we find out that she somehow ends up in costume and leaps off. Suppose they assume she leapt off the roof and fell to her death in costume. It's ruled a suicide
Mm.
because of all her issues. We do find out she is murdered. She is murdered. I won't go into all the details of how, but she does get murdered, and there's a reason for it. And Snow has to figure that out. This is also Snow kind of becoming a detective because that's not really what's Snow's undercover work was. It wasn't like being a cop and solving a crime. It's more setting things up. He was a more con man than anything else because he's like making people do what they want them to so they can catch them, or being a spy, that kind of stuff. So this kind of becomes really the first place where we see him start to try to solve a crime as a detective. And we also introduce the a local cop who they butt heads a bit and then work together a bit. And one of those
Yeah.
he's almost the beauty of doing these, because I've said before, they are like my love letter to the cop and detective shows of the 70s and 80s and 90s. There's always that the cop that's like, you stay out of this case, you know. And so I created Detective Trent to be that guy, because you're expecting it. I give you what you're expecting, him starting out that way. As he softens to what Snow's going through, they actually work pretty well together. They're not going to become partners or anything like that, but
No, it's
they
not going to
work
turn out to be one of those buddy cop shows,
right.
but they do have an understanding, saying, "Hey,
Hmm.
I have my methods, you have yours. If we combine forces, we can really put something together, and we can make this
Exactly.
case an actual case." Because everyone's saying it's suicide. No, 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 no. This
Yeah.
was cold-blooded murder, and I
Yeah.
want to know why my friend, who I just rekindled a relationship with, why did it have to end so quickly? Why did she have to die so suddenly?
Hmm.
Even though she was battling her demons, she had overcome them, but she still had moments of relapse and she still had moments of weakness. And but listen, this all addicts are like that.
Yep.
They all have moments where they relapse or something goes wrong, something goes awry, or maybe something goes right for a little while, but then something just pulls the rug
Hmm.
right underneath of them. But this is one of the things I want to mention here about Snow the series. And once again, we're talking about Snow Series 1 here on this special presentation with the writer of the series, Bobby Nash, who is here with us right now. Make sure you like and share this video with all 400 of your closest friends because they're going to like the way they look after watching or listening to this, a spoiler-heavy discussion, I should add, about Snow, written by Bobby Nash. We guarantee it. With that being said, there's let's see here. Jeff Hayes. Speaking of Plasma Fire
Ah,
Graphics, hello. Jeffrey
yes.
Hayes of
And
Plasma Fire Graphics. When the look of your book matters to
yeah,
you, he says it certainly is the hashtag Summer of Snow.
yep.
Wouldn't you agree,
Check,
Bobby?
yeah, absolutely. Check out the piece of art behind us here on the screen, or on behind me here.
Yeah. Look at
This
that
these two here
gorgeous looking
are
posters.
Jeffrey. Yeah, actually, well, since Jeff's here, I say, I do want to point out that Jeff did does our covers. You can see a couple of them here. This was well, this was how Jeff pitched the idea of doing covers to me. He says, and I quote, "Let me do a generic Snow image for you." And this is Jeffrey's idea of generic. You know, there's like a city on fire. There
Flying planes,
planes getting shot down by missiles,
little
cars
spy down there in the
exploding.
corner.
Yeah, So yeah, it's so that's Jeffrey's idea of generic, which I also like to point out too, the other covers, the original covers.
Yes, right
This is
there.
Dennis Calero who did the covers on these,
Ooh.
and I have been very blessed with cover art for the Snow series, and so yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yes, we were talking about, and those posters, all the artwork by both people who have put those pieces of artwork together. Fabulous job, Jeffrey Hayes. Once again, plasmafiregraphics.com. When the look of your book matters to you, visit that website today. Check out the stuff that he's done. If you're an indie writer or a publisher, you're looking for some artwork, marketing things, look it up at plasmafiregraphics.com. You're gonna like the way you look if they're checking out that website. I guarantee it. Charles F. Millhouse chimes in. He says, "Wait a minute. Wait until you turn Jeffrey loose on something. Watch out!"
Yeah.
Exclamation point.
Yeah, because these are the hardcovers. Sorry, this is my proof copy, so you can see it's still got the bar on it. But these are Jeffrey did these as well, which is basically taking the this is like this if and when I get around to the omnibus, this will be the omnibus cover of
Oh,
all six.
Bobby, why do you have to
Yeah.
mention more books for me to buy from you? My wallet's gonna go broke. Anyhow, it's about supporting other people because the rising tide lifts all ships. With that being said, as we are diving into this storyline known as Snow, we're talking about, I believe it's Snowstar. We found out that Melanie Shaw was indeed
Mhm.
murdered, but we won't go into too many details because we are going to reveal spoilers, don't get me wrong, but I do want to invite you, if you have an opportunity, if you are into something known as crime fiction, adventure, action, whatever, this is a series that you must check out. And we have the website scrolling across the bottom of our screen. Also, all the links are located within the description of this video. If you want more information about this or anything else that Bobby Nash has written or he's in the process of putting together, if you want to talk about a man who multitasks very well by updating like what, 3, 4, 5, 6 websites a day, Bobby
Some
Nash is one of the few people on earth that I know that can do it. So
Bobby has
check,
no
yeah,
life, so he
I don't think he does. No, so check out the links in the description of this video because you might
yeah.
learn something. I'm just saying.
Herb
But as far
Herbie
as
Herbie
Snow,
keeps me chained to the desk, so yeah.
yeah, I was gonna, yeah, man, you could have mentioned that too. But with Snowstar, we found out that Melanie Shaw was indeed murdered
Hmm.
by so and so and so and so. Going off of that, you find out Daniela Cardozo has been the one pulling the strings the entire time as
Hmm.
Miguel Ortega, and then in Snowdown, it all comes to what is known as a head. With
Also with Snowstar too.
Oh yes, that was a
The
great story, by the way.
audience
Yes.
learns who blew his cover. Snow does not. He does not learn that until Snowdown. So,
Mhm.
and I kind of did that on purpose. I like it sometimes when we know things they don't.
Mm,
So that was,
mm.
yeah. Plus, I thought it would be more impactful if Daniela tells him while he's grieving that this is
Yeah,
what happened. Yeah.
yeah. Because in Snowdown, which is book 6, he's reeling from the devastating loss. He takes himself up to a mountain cabin up in the mountains during the wintertime. Snowstorms are about to hit. He doesn't tell anyone where he's going. He leaves a note. He leaves a
Mhm.
notice telling people, "Hey, I'm done for a while. I need to take a breath. I need a break. I need to grieve, whatever." Goes up to this mountain resort, and little does he know that Daniela Cardoza and some of his cronies, he's put out a hit. She has put out a hit on Abraham Snow. She wants payback. She wants revenge. It's like, look, you've made a mess of my organization. You're making things difficult for me. I thought we had an understanding and agreement, but you keep continuing to break it because in book 6, Samson Brooks is a good friend of Abraham Snow's who's been digging up information that can help Abraham Snow find out more about what exactly has been going on with his undercover op that went south. And he gets shot. Samson Brooks doesn't die though. Spoilers. Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry, Bobby.
Couldn't kill
Sorry.
Brooks. Yeah,
Couldn't kill Samson.
I have plans for Mr. Brooks.
Do you?
Oh, I do.
Well, we'll get to that a little bit later. Let's not show up.
I actually plant seeds in that book for the plans for Mr. Brooks. Yes.
Okay, all right. Well, we can look at some of those cards in the deck here in Vegas a
Yeah.
little bit later. But with that being said, Snowdown, it comes to a head. And let me tell you something. You get to see things from the supporting character perspective, how they're going about life, how they're missing Abraham Snow, where is he, what happened to him, and then eventually, when Abraham is under gunfire, he gets back to his cabin to pull a little bit of a retreat, try to regroup, sends out an SOS to say, "Hey, I'm up here in the mountains at this resort. I'm in trouble. Someone's coming after me. I don't know who. I don't know what's going on, but someone's coming after me. I need help." So eventually, his friends do come to a bit of a rescue, do help solve a little bit of the puzzle, not a lot of it, but they
Mhm.
do come in handy when the moments need to arise. And my gosh, Bobby, I got to tell you, when we find out the secrets behind Daniela Cardoza's motive, how she was running this whole thing,
Mhm.
how Melanie Shaw unwittingly, unbeknownst to her, accidentally blew Abraham Snow's cover during his op down south in South America, and all this stuff comes to a head and the actions heats up a little bit. You find out a little bit more about why Daniela Cardoza is so obsessed with killing Snow, or maybe trying to come to some sort of agreement because we were together, we had a relationship, and you abused it, you used me, and I'm upset. And as a certain person once said, Bobby Nash, I'm not sure who coined this first, hell hath no fury
Mhm.
like a woman scorned, because
Yep.
this woman is ticked off. She is really upset.
Which is
So, which is
which
crazy.
is ironic because her whole thing is she's using people and lying to them constantly, and so but when it happens to her, it's the greatest betrayal known to man.
Oh, oh man. And then you would think that after all this gunfire and all this, some of the, diving behind covers, or trying to take cover, excuse me, in an action sequence, by the way. And at the end of this, they have to reluctantly team up to take down some of the other gunmen because some of the gunmen that were working for Daniela Cardoza, they don't no longer work for her, or maybe they didn't agree to this
Mhm.
contract the way they thought it would go down. So she's now being hunted. So they unwittingly team up towards the end of book 6, which in this case is known as Snowdown. And then at the end, when his friends show up to rescue Abraham Snow, Daniela gives herself up. She goes into custody, but oh boy, does something happen in custody, folks.
Mhm.
This woman, you think it's over, right?
Plans within plans within
The
plans.
wheels start turning because Daniela Cardoza is taken into custody at the end of book 6, which is known as Snowdown. Once again, this is a spoiler-heavy discussion, and she goes to prison, right? But she's in prison for a couple of, a little while, and then all of a sudden she gets a visitor. And I'm thinking, well, what? Who would visit her in prison? The operation's done. It's over. It's been blocked. People know who she is now. The truth's going to come out. What is going on? And Suzanne Pearl shows up, who is known as the secretary, the second, secondary, like the mentee, the second in command, I guess,
Mhm.
of this whole thing, known as Suzanne Pearl. And Suzanne Pearl says, "Listen, you're in prison. You've messed things up for us. You're no good to us anymore. I'm taking control of this operation." And Daniela says, "Well, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Why don't we work together? I may be in prison right now, but if you can use your sources to get me out of here, we're going to team up and we're going to take our criminal organization, this criminal syndicate, if you will, to the next level. We're going to forget about the past, forget about all the past mistakes that we made. We're going to focus on the future. But after she makes that agreement during that phone call in prison when they were meeting up with each other, behind the plexiglass, the very end of this story, ladies and gentlemen, in Snowdown, which is book 6, right? She goes back to her cell, sits back, looks up, smiles, and realizes that she is going to be pulling a few strings of her own with Suzanne Pearl, not only to get her out of prison, but Daniela, I don't think is completely over Abraham Snow.
No.
I think there's a part of her that still wants to go after him and get revenge for what happened earlier in her criminal career, with all due respect. So if you want a mixture of Rockford Files, Magnum PI, especially, I'm getting a lot of Burn Notice vibes from this, by the way. And also, when you think about it, Bobby, when I'm rethinking about this, I'm getting a little bit of 24 vibes too.
I can see
A little bit
that.
of 24 with Jack Bauer. It's a race against time. It's a race against the clock. The wheels are turning. The window is starting to close on this opportunity to either accomplish your mission or to get revenge on people who have wronged you. In this case, Daniela Cardoza is the one who really wants revenge, because Abraham Snow, he's tired, he's wounded, he's at home. He starts strumming his guitar at the end of book 6 because he just wants to forget about this whole thing, go back to a normal life, maybe become a PI and just start solving maybe some small town cases, if you will, Bobby Nash.
Yeah.
But Daniela's not done yet.
No.
No.
I have
Not even
plans
close.
for her as well.
You do.
We're not going to see her for a while, obviously,
I was going to say, let's not try to be here all night, Bobby.
Right. Well, I don't want to, I also don't want her to just be there all the time,
Exactly.
So
we don't want to reveal too much too quickly.
Yeah, we'll see her when we need to see her.
Oh, is that how you're putting it?
Yeah. So, again, she has plans.
She does.
When she tells me the plan, I'll know.
Oh, so this is okay. You're just waiting for Daniela Cardoza to make a phone call. Yeah, Bobby, I know what I want to do in the next few stories. Can you write this one down?
Yeah.
Then you're going to write it down in your giant notepad that you have in your office there with your. By the way, that mug that you're holding, is that Abraham Snow I see on the mug?
It is. It is.
If somebody wanted that, where can they find that?
I have a Zazzle store that has several of them.
Really?
Yeah. There's like 4 or 5 different kinds. Like I've got this one as well. It's Snow Investigations.
Ooh, that's a good looking one.
So, and then I've got one for Archer's Company, Snow Security. I'm sorry,
yes.
this one's broke. I dropped it, but Snow Security. So, yeah. So
try not to break things.
Yeah. But I got tired of like drinking out of like plastic bottles and advertising to people who don't need me to advertise what I'm drinking. So the mugs come in handy.
That's a fair point, Bobby. So yeah, so as we get to the end of Snow Series 1, we realize that this isn't over yet. Not even close. I think there's more to come from someone known as Daniela Cardoza. I think Suzanne Pearl is going to have a few tricks up her sleeve while she is running the Miguel Ortega criminal syndicate. I think Abraham Snow is going to lick his wounds for a little while, but then I think the gears are going to start turning, and he and Samson Brooks may team up and do some damage. I'm not sure yet. I don't know. I'm just guessing here.
There is a trip to Hawaii in Snow's future.
Are we going to hear the Are we going to hear a little bit of that?
Yeah, only in your head.
Are we going to hear that?
Yeah,
maybe not.
Yeah.
But these are some of the.
There is a plan for Snow to go to Hawaii. It's not book 7. Book 7 we're dealing with an assassin who likes to blow things up. So that's book 7.
That sounds hot.
Yeah.
So either explosive, a little bit of fire lit under that.
So either 8 or 9, he's going to go to Hawaii. And I started setting some things up with Samson because at the end of Snowdown, he mentions that his brother has come to kind of help him recuperate. And so,
that's right. Yes,
I have plans for the Brooks brothers.
Hey, isn't that a clothing company?
Yeah.
Brooks Brothers, are they going to be wearing trademark suits?
No. Only if Brooks Brothers decides to sponsor.
Hey, if you want to get in touch with Bobby Nash, please go to the website that you see on your screen or in the links that are located within the description of this video. Yeah. Once again, we're talking about Snow Series 1 here on this show. Make sure you like and share this video with all 700 of your closest friends. They're going to like the way they look after watching or listening to this video. We guarantee it. Also, if you want to go in completely cold and not know anything about Snow, this is a spoiler-heavy discussion. You've been warned several times. Just
Mhm.
giving you a heads up. But Bobby, before I ask you this, I do have to bring this up with you just for a moment, if you don't mind. Some of the thoughts I had about this whole thing, which is Snow Series 1, some of the things I wrote, and by the way, you can find this on goodreads.com. That is an app for people to keep track of the books they have read, share their reading lists with their friends, with their family members, their coworkers. If you go to goodreads.com, you can set it up on your computer or your mobile device. It is a free app and a free website, I would say. So definitely check it out. Bobby Nash's books, as well as many other people's books, are
Mhm.
listed there. So make sure you check it out. And make sure you leave a review for these writers because they work awfully hard to provide us great entertainment in the form of a book. So leaving a review makes all the difference. So these are some of the thoughts that came to my mind here, Bobby, in regards to Snow, Series 1. I said it was one of the best. It's one of the best series going today. Abraham Snow is the new action hero. From a spy to PI, this series has it all. Great characters with great storylines, as well as great writing. This is pure fun from start to finish. You'll be begging for more, and it's also a great tribute to past shows such as Burn Notice. This is a must read. Those are some of the thoughts I posted on
The
goodreads.com
of
in
all of
regards to
those,
Snow.
as cool as all those are, the ones that really struck me the most are this is pure fun because that's really what I want people to get out of my books. I'm not a preachy writer. There are moments when that kind of stuff come, but I don't write books to push agendas or anything like that. Sometimes characters have agendas, but
Mhm,
that's not the purpose I write a book for. My main goal is that I hope whoever is reading it is enjoying it and having a good time.
mhm.
And
Yeah.
so yeah, because that's what I like to read. I enjoy just getting lost. The real world is stressful enough, I like
Don't we know it?
you know, so I like doing stuff that I can get lost in, and so I try to write that way as well.
Mhm.
How I try to write books I would want to read
Sure,
if
and
I didn't write them. Yeah.
yeah, and to a certain, a lot of these books, including the Snow series, they're available in single editions, or they're available as hardcovers,
Hmm.
or as Snow Series 1 Volume 1, as you mentioned earlier,
Yep.
with the hardcovers that were recently put out by by you, as well as
Yep.
Jeffrey Hayes of Plastifier Graphics, who did the covers of that. Once again, that's
Yep.
when the look of your book matters to you. Visit them at visit
Hmm.
Jeffrey Ray Hayes at plastifiergraphics.com
We
for
also
that.
have
But what? Yeah.
audiobooks. We do
Oh yes,
audiobooks.
audiobooks.
Stuart Goffey is the voice
Mm-hmm.
of Snow. He does a fantastic job performing. He's not just reading them; he's performing these.
All the
So
voices, all the
yeah.
characters.
So if you like audiobooks, I uh,
Which
recommend those.
Yeah,
And
and that is something that may be comfortable for a person who may be watching or listening to this. If you feel more comfortable listening to your books rather than having a physical
mhm.
copy in front of you, there are audiobooks for that, as Bobby Nash just pointed out. Now, my next question here for you: now that we've discussed the spoiler heavy things that happen in the events during books 1 through 6, and we also mentioned that we found out who's really pulling the strings. Abraham Snow's not really quite done yet. I don't think Daniela Cardozo's quite done yet. I'm just curious, how much of a role do the characters of the town of Summersville, Georgia, and Snow Securities factor into the Snow universe?
A good bit. I mean, Summersville is a fictional town. Now there is a real Somerville, Georgia, which I didn't know when I created this way back when. When I was writing my what became my first published novel, Evil Ways, I invented this town of Summersville, and that was where I had it. I so I've gone back to the well a few times to just reuse the town because I put a lot of work into this town. And so the Sheriff Myers, he is the sheriff of Summersville County. So when it came time for Snow to have a home, I figured, oh, what the heck? They grew up there, you know, and he lives there. He doesn't do a lot of work there. Most of his stuff takes place in Atlanta or surrounding areas. I haven't done like a real crossover with Snow and the yet, but a lot of the secondary characters have crossed over.
Hmm.
Mac, Tom McClellan, for the FBI agent, appears in the first book, in the Wind of the Sheriff Myers series.
Hmm.
Um, the U.S. Marshal that's in that book also appears in Evil Intent, which is the second book, the sequel to Evil Ways. So there is a little bit of it's it's one world, If we ever need like federal level, I've created a president that I use multiple times, or the head of the Secret Service, or so I've got those
Sure.
characters that instead of just creating a new one every time, I've got people I can pull in and out. I keep threatening one day there will be a big crossover where Snow and the sheriff, or they all meet up and do something. But it's got to again,
Me personally, I would love to see that
yeah,
happen.
it's one of those things. It's just like with when Daniela comes back. It's got to be the right time. So when the
Right
characters
place.
tell me,
Yeah.
they're ready,
Yeah.
then we'll do it. But little things get mentioned, like sheriff, or like in Snow Down, they do mention the sheriff.
Hmm.
He's not in it, but they mention him
Hmm.
when a deputy comes, because Archer stops a guy who is trespassing, and they send a deputy out to collect him, and
Oh yes.
so
What are
yeah,
you
so
doing here? Yeah.
yeah, so there's bits of that stuff where it's back and forth. Snow Security is Archer's company, which Archer owns, and his son, Snow's father, Dominic, runs the day-to-day operation of. And Snow Security is a secondary way to get Snow into things, because Archer is such a charismatic character and a cunning character. It's hard to say no to Archer, because Archer has already worked out how he's going to convince you to do what he wants you to do. And so anybody that knows Archer knows that arguing with him is futile. So Archer, for sometimes reasons of his own, like in Snowfalls, getting his grandson back into some kind of action. He knows that, if he doesn't get off that horse, he's been shot, but he could lay around and just, but he knows you've got to get up and get moving. And so Archer pulls him into things a lot, uh, either to help Snow to kind of keep moving, or
Hmm.
like in Snow Drive, he invites Snow to be part of it, because the one thing that Snow and his father agree on is their love of racing. And so that gives them a common ground. And so Archer pulls them
Fast
both into this
cars. Hmm.
into this case they're working.
Hmm.
Um, you know, Snow Hunt Book 7 is heavily art. Snow Security is heavily involved
Oh,
in that one. So,
is that so? By the way, Brian K. Morris is in the building. He says, "Greetings, gentlemen.
uh,
Lots of classy guys in the room tonight." Yes, sir. And Brian K.
uh,
Morris, it is so good to see you. It's good to hear from you. I call him the Mr. Rogers of the interwebs because Brian K. Morris, he's just that nice a guy, and also he's very
mhm,
supportive of other people.
yeah.
So make sure you
Also,
check. Yeah. Yes.
also one of the Snow Shorts writers.
Hmm. Yes, that is very true. So once again, if you want more information about Brian K. Morris and what he's been up to, go to risingtide.pub on the interwebs. And no, it's not a pub as in going out for drinks. It's an
But it
actual
should
independent.
be.
Well, don't get Brian K. Morris any ideas now, Bobby. Otherwise, we're going to be here all night. But yes, Brian K. Morris, thank you, kind sir. Thank you so much for being here and giving us a comment. We appreciate your support and everything that you do. Brian K. Morris, risingtide.pub. Check out his books and all the projects he has coming down the pipe, because Lord knows Brian K. Morris likes to stay busy too, Bobby.
See, I'm kind of now wanting to see like a literary pub, the Rising Tide Literary Pub.
Oh, you see what
You
he
know, just
did there?
just be full of writers sitting there writing and drinking.
Hmm.
What could be
See, I think.
better?
Are you listening to this, Brian K. Morris? I hope you're listening because that's a heck of an idea that Bobby Nash just potentially presented you with. But
Franchise it out, one in every city. It's a gold mine.
you heard it here first at It's Neuroculture. I just want to make that clear, Bobby. You heard it here first at It's
Mhm.
Neuroculture. For those of you maybe watching or listening to this presentation
Yeah. Your
right
videos
now,
can play on one of the TV up in the corner of the bar.
it's true.
Oh.
If you want, we could talk about that a little bit later on in the behind closed doors, not
Yeah.
on this show. But I will say this. So you mentioned Summersville, Georgia. That's the setting of the Abraham Snow universe. You mentioned
Hmm.
Snow Securities, how that factors into Abraham Snow's adventures and his family and how they're involved and all that kind of stuff. With that being said, here's the granddaddy of them all. Here's the big question. We learned a lot about Abraham Snow. We've learned some things about the supporting characters, the supporting roles. Summersville, Georgia is a character in these stories. The setting is just as important as anything else. You mentioned something about Snow Securities, how that factors in. So the big question here is, at least now at this point in time, what are your plans for the Abraham Snow universe moving forward, Bobby Nash? What is going to happen next for Abraham Snow and company?
Well, there will be more books coming. I plan to do them as long as as long as people are willing to read them. So Snow Hunt is book 7, which I am in the middle of working on now. I kind of had to set it aside for a bit to work on some other things. I know I write multiple projects. I think you mentioned that. But that's dealing with an assassin who is a bomber who plants bombs. I also mentioned we're going to go. We will at some point go to Hawaii for another Snowbrooks adventure. There may be a shark involved. I have this idea of like snow in a shark cage. Could be the Jaws fan in me, just going crazy. But so there's more plans for that. Right now we've done 9 of the snow shorts. I would love to do some more. We'll see how that goes. There are more plans there. There are other plans for other characters to appear in different places. Mac will appear in a future in book 5 or 6 of Sheriff Myers. We're going to see him again interact there, along with our U.S. Marshal character Teague. So there are characters who come in and out, and as I get to know these characters, I get ideas for solo stories with them. So I have an idea for a Teague story. I have an idea for a story with the Brooks and his brother. That's a solo story. So when I'll get around to those is the question. But I'd like to get back on better track and start getting the snow books out a little more frequently. But yeah, they're fun. I enjoy them. There are always new ideas coming to me. Yeah, they're fun. How was that for a non-answer answer?
You're just basically saying, there's more to come. I'm just not sure how many books are going to be in series 2, or should I say the continuing of this series? I'm not sure.
Well, and I've also, I
could be.
The original plan was each series would be 6 books, and I think I confused some people with that. So I'm kind of just dropping that, and just with book 7, it's just book 7 instead of series 2, book 1.
Okay, so it's just it's a complete through line of just one thing.
Yeah, it'll just be series 1 until I stop. And then when
it'll just be the Snow series until you stop. That's basically what you're saying.
Yeah.
In other words,
because I think I was confusing some people going, well, in series 2, and they're like, well, wait, which is So just to keep it simpler, I'm just gonna because when I started this, I had a plan, and as we've discussed, those plans did not last long. They went out the window fairly quick. Oh yes, and sorry, in the comments, Brian did mention that.
Yes, Brian K. Morris says, also, Bobby, one of the snow shorts won a writing award. Don't forget that. Yes. We're legit now.
And I wonder who it was that won that award. I believe his name was Brian K. Morris.
Who made that comment just now, Brian K. Morris, of the Rising Tide Publications. Make sure you check him out at risingtide.pub.
And the snow books have one.
They have.
I won a Pulp Factory award for no, we were nominated for one in that. I didn't win. I didn't win for that one, but the Snow series won a new Pulp Fiction award from the Sangria Summit back in 2021 or 2020. It's 2020 or 2021. I forget which.
Brian K. Morris may know more about that.
Yeah. So that
let us know in the comments there, Brian.
Yeah. So that was cool. So so we've won a couple of awards. We've been nominated for quite a few. So it's exciting. Getting the awards, you don't think about those when you're doing it, but it does make you feel good to know that someone appreciates what you've done, or you've done something that has captured an audience. I'll give you a quick aside if I can make an off left turn here.
Well, before you reveal that, I do want to bring this up real quick. Brian K. Morris says, laugh out loud. Slow down, Bobby. I'm trying to scribble this down about the literary pub.
Yeah.
Literary pubs. Yeah. So he just wanted to mention that to you. Laugh out loud. Slow down, Bobby. I'm trying to scribble this down from Brian K. Morris. But yes, Bobby.
That's why we recorded it.
which is great. Even though I want to keep the focus on snow, but yes, Bobby, if you want to make a quick sidebar here, go
Well,
ahead.
no, it's a snow related
Oh,
sidebar.
okay, all right. Well, go ahead.
I
Yes.
was on this panel
Hmm.
at a convention a few years back,
Sure.
and so we're talking. It was about characters, and so we were, and there were a lot of writers. I think there were like 8 or 9 of us on this panel, and so we're talking about various characters and writing and different things. And so it had gotten down. I was at the far end. It had gotten to the other end, and I admit I might not have been paying as much attention as I should have been. And so the moderator was asking the audience questions about characters that they had fallen in love with. And someone answered, and I was not paying as close attention as I probably should have been. And it got really quiet. And I realized people were looking at me because the person in the audience said that that her favorite character of the moment was Archer Snow.
Oh, the grandfather.
Yes, and which made me feel great, because Archer has been Archer has been a super huge surprise by how readers have really glommed on him. Like I've gotten the messages like, do not kill Archer Snow.
Under any
Nothing can happen.
circumstances, do not
Yeah,
kill off this character because he
yeah,
does get shot at in the middle of book 6, which is Snowdown.
yeah. Well, ever since I started getting those messages, I've put him in more danger.
Ugh,
Just
yeah.
just
Remember when he had to go to a hospital to check on somebody, and then there was a you know
exactly.
series of
So,
fighting and gunshot wounds that happened during the course of that action sequence?
yep. Oh, wait till you read the yeah. Well, you probably did. I guess yeah. In Snow Shorts too.
Mhm.
He goes through some hell, but but that's cool. I
No puns intended.
you put the characters that you love through hell. If I didn't care about them, I wouldn't put them through all this. And they you hope they come out stronger on the other side. At least that's my
Mhm.
plan.
Oh, okay. All right.
So
Well, that's
sorry. So that
perfect.
was my aside. Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's fine, and it still ties into what we're discussing here, which in this case is Snow Series 1. But it really is just the Snow series as it currently stands, because it's 6
Hmm.
books in. You got plans for book 7. You're in the process of putting that together right now, and who knows what's going to happen after book 7. So
Exactly.
anything's possible. And you mentioned something known as the Snow Shorts. Now, what exactly? Abraham Snow is a great character, but what exactly are Snow Shorts? Can you give us a little bit of information about that?
Yeah, Snow Shorts was this idea I had because I do a lot of anthology work for other magazines or anthology books or whatever. And so I was like, hey, I'll just start doing, unless I'm doing something for a science fiction or fantasy thing, I'll do snow stories for anthologies and then I can collect them down the road. And so I did a story for Paul Bishop's Disorderly Conduct anthology series. So I wrote
Mhm.
a snow story for that. And then I did one for Pulp Reality #2. There's a snow story, and I was like, I kind of like this idea of little short stories. And so I hatched this idea of contacting some writers that I knew who write crime fiction or write action stuff really well, or that can do thrillers and things like that. And I reached out to writers that I knew,
Mhm.
because I figured I'd hedge my bets. I knew these people would get the job done, and I knew they would do it well. So I reached out to several and said, "Here's what I'm thinking: 10,000 word short stories. We'll release them as a 99-cent ebook, and then we'll collect them. And then we collect them, every 3 of them, in a little paperback,
Hey,
which is about
that artwork looks familiar.
yeah, which is also this size is roughly the same size as a snow novella. So if you're collecting them all, they all still look nice on your bookshelf.
They
And
do, don't
so, yeah,
they?
so the idea was to do snow shorts. And so what I opened it up to to the writers was, you can pick any character except you can't write a Daniela Cordoza story and you can't write a Miguel Ortega story,
Mm.
because I figure any big and at this point we hadn't got to the ending yet, so I knew I knew what was coming. The other writers did not. So
Mhm.
it's like, yeah, don't write these guys, but any other character in the books you can write. And so, you know, Gary Phillips wanted to do a Big John story. Um, Big John was a former car thief, so he played into someone that he knew when he was in prison that needed his help. So it's a very good, almost noirish story. Um, Nicole Givens Kurtz wanted to write a story with Snow's mother, who we hadn't actually seen yet in the books, but had just been mentioned. And so she and I sat together and kind of kicked around. Here's what I'm thinking the mom's like, and so she wrote a story with Snow's mother in some trouble. And then Brian K. Morris wrote a Snow story where, because Snow's alias Abraham or James Shepard is presumed dead. When they retired him, they just say, "Oh, he died on that airfield." Well, he's in an airport and someone recognizes him, which gets Snow into some trouble because people find out I'm alive. That's not good. So that's one. Charles F. Milhouse wrote a story where it's more of a case-driven story where they're in a hospital and there's some surgery needed and they're trying to protect a diplomat. It's very intense, but kind of like you mentioned, 24. That kind of setting. It's in one place.
Mm-hmm.
It's very. Mark Bosquet wrote one that deals with Mac, the FBI agent Mac Tom McClellan, dealing with a problem that involves some bad guys doing some bad things, and he's on his own while the FBI is dealing with a plane crash, so he doesn't have backup. And then Bernadette Johnson wrote a story that focuses on Walker, who is she's the one that discovers Miguel Ortega's body back in book 3. So she wrote a murder mystery with her set at the Mother is the fictional government entity that she works for. There is a murder at Mother's, the shooting range, or in the garage next to their offices that their undercover offices for their aliases. Sorry, I'm trying to explain that right. And so she has to deal with that. So yeah, so having different writers tackle different characters and different aspects. Some of these characters, we only see some of these characters in my books dealing with things that pertain to Snow. So seeing Walker do something on her own, or seeing Big John do something on his own, or and I wrote one. I wrote a Snow one by himself. I wrote a Snow and Archer story, and then I wrote one with Archer by himself. And so seeing how these characters do things away from Snow, so they're not tied to a Snow story, kind of opened up the world a little bit and gave them a little depth. And the writers would come up with things that I will say it's terrifying thought to let someone play with your toys. It's absolutely terrifying, which is another reason I hedged my bets going with people I knew, because I knew all these writers. I knew what they were capable of. So that kind of tamped down some of my fear, because the fear is it's twofold. Either, it's going to be horrible, or they're going to write my characters better than I do. And so
they've done well so far. One of them actually won an award with Brian K. Morris at the helm of that.
Exactly. And so, but the beautiful thing that happened is there are bits that appear in these Snow shorts that I like enough that I'm incorporating some of the things into the regular series. And that's the beauty of these things is, you can add and build onto these characters as you go. There are things in the series that happen because the characters just decided to do it. Or, we talked about discovering who blew his cover. That worked out the way it did. This is going to make me sound awful, I know, but it worked out the way it did because I'm writing Snow Star, and I went at one point in the writing of it. I went, "Oh shit! I forgot to figure out who blew his cover."
Let me just write this one down.
Yeah,
Hold on.
I have no. Well, I I'm here at book 5. No one at book 6 is going to wrap the story up, and I've put no clues or nothing. I completely forgot about that subplot. And so as I'm writing the story, yeah, that's when the character goes, "Oh, I'll do it," and it became a powerful thing, but it came from trusting the characters more so than a plan that I had.
Hmm.
So
Well, that is certainly an interesting method of how to write a story. Coming from a writer who's been doing this for a number of years. Everyone has their own processes.
yeah.
Don't get me
Well,
wrong.
it's
So
like I said, I don't outline. I feel very
yeah, that's
constrained doing a tight outline.
yeah,
But what I have is I have loose plot points.
yeah. You just want
I
to let it
know,
come to you.
yeah, I know these things have to happen. And
Hmm.
then I'll say, okay, we're here at the beginning. Okay, Snow, I need you to get to that plot point. How are we going to get there? And I let him get us there. And that allows for character things to crop up as we go.
Hmm.
And excuse me, those character things are what I think keeps people coming back. Because when you read a or a book series or a TV series or a movie series, you you like the books. You can say, I like this book, I like that book. But if you ask most people, they go, "Oh, I love the character of Snow," or "Oh, I love the crew of the USS Enterprise." That's what brings you back is the love of the characters. That's also what helps you as the writer survive when you write a book that doesn't work, but the people still love the characters, and so they're willing to come back and give you another shot. Because as much as I'd like to think everything I write is gold, I know it's not.
Well,
We all have off. We all
off
have
days,
off
I
moments.
guess.
We have stories that work for us that just do not land. It happens. So
Does.
the characters are for me, it's more the characters is what I assume will bring people back. So that can you know, so I want to make sure those character bits are there. Like when we talk about Rockford Files, I'm hard pressed to tell you any titles of any episodes, but I can tell you what I loved about the show, and it's all going to be character based things.
Well, yeah, it's kind of hard to remember 100, 200, 300 episodes of a
Yeah.
show and all the different episode titles, when they originally
Mhm.
aired, what was the synopsis of each episode respectively. So I think it's safe to assume that not only do you have plans for the main storyline of Snow moving forward, but you also have plans for more Snow shorts somewhere down the line.
If writers want to keep doing them, I'm happy to do them.
Brian K. Morris,
Um,
are you listening to this? As well as everyone else for that
yep,
matter. I'm not just the only reason I bring up BKM is because he did mention earlier his story won an award, and there's been a lot
yep.
of other great writers who have written Snow shorts in the past. Do not get me wrong.
Hmm.
He was just one of the first names that came to my mind.
Yeah.
Take
Well,
another shot, Brian. We're
yeah.
mentioning your name, so you know what you got to do, right? Every time we mention your name,
Yep.
you got to take another
Take a
shot.
shot.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah. Well, and the plan for those, how that works, like I
Yes.
said, because we do collect them in threes. Of every three, one of them is mine
Hmm.
as the anchor.
Yes.
And so, well, two, that way when I'm at cons, I can say, I worked on all these. And so, but yeah, so three in every book, but they, like I said, they get in released as 99-cent ebooks. And so it's a way for people to try writers they may not have heard of. It's a way for people to try characters they may not have heard of. And it's fun. And it's, like I said, it's very exciting to see how others perceive what I've written, because
Of course.
they get all the books and they get the Bible and all this, but seeing how Brian or Charles or Gary or any of them, what they glommed onto about the character that really caught their attention. So that's fascinating from a creator standpoint to see. Ooh, they're focusing on that part. I don't really focus on that part, and so it's really cool, and it makes the characters certainly more well rounded. And there's a lot of stuff there that we can continue to build off of.
That's very true. And let's face it, the Abraham Snow universe is a big universe. It's a big
Hmm.
sandbox. There's a lot of room to play in it. There's a lot of fun to be had. But here's something for you. Spoiler alert: Abraham Snow is my favorite character right now. The Snow series is my favorite book series of the
Oh,
moment, and Bobby Nash is my favorite writer of the moment too. So there you go. There's the biggest spoiler of this presentation. Well, I want to take this opportunity to thank writer Bobby Nash of the Snow series for being our special guest on this presentation, talking about Snow Series 1 spoiler heavy
mhm.
review. Thank you so much for being here, Bobby. If someone wants to know more about this character or they haven't read it before and they want to read it, I hear there's some new deals going on right now in regards to snow. So let
Yeah.
us know, where can the person watching or listening to this find you online and more about
Mhm.
Abraham Snow?
Well, if you look right down here, you can see abrahamsnow.com rolling across the bottom of the screen. That is the website for all things snow. There are links to everything there. Like I said, hardcovers, paperbacks, ebooks, collected hardcovers, collected softcovers, audio books. We have a full cast audio drama coming next year. There's, if I can swing it, there will be a snow comic book at some point. I'm trying to, as many things as I can. Right now on Amazon, the snow individual novellas are all but Snowstar and Snowdown. They're still at cover price, but the first four are all deeply discounted in paperback on Amazon right now. I don't know how long it'll last. I didn't do it. Amazon decided that it would be a good time to put them on sale. Um, a few of my other books are also on sale. The Seraph Myers novellas are also fairly heavily discounted in paperback. So if you're interested in them in paperback, this is a really good time to go out there and find them because they are cheaper. Um, if ebooks and audiobooks, Amazon, there's links on the website. If you're desperate for a signed copy, I have a store through my website, bobbynash.com. Will take you right to the store. You can buy signed books directly from me. I know with the snow shorts, you can, if you find the writers at conventions and whatnot, they also have snow short books they will sell you and sign for you as well.
Fan flippin' tastic. Bobby Nash, thank you so much for being here, kind sir, and taking
My
time out of
pleasure.
your busy schedule, because you appear on every single podcast right now during the week. So I'm glad we were able to squeeze you in during
Thank
your
you.
during your busy schedule. And thank you so much for being here, Bobby Nash. Once again, my name is Ryan of Neuroculture. Make sure you follow me on Twitter and Instagram at RyanRPM5. I do a show every week called And I Quote, where I have interviewed individuals such as Bobby Nash, Brian K. Morris, Charles F. Millhouse, Jeffrey Ray Hayes of Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you. So, and all those great people. So you can find links in the description of this video for that, as well as past episodes of And I Quote and all the great things that we have coming up. Also, I want to let you know that once again, And I Quote is on Saturdays, 12 p.m. Eastern Time. And also our next watch along, we do movie anniversary watch alongs occasionally. The next one we're going to have for you right here at It's Nerd Culture is this Sunday, September the 18th. We are celebrating the 30th anniversary of Captain Ron. That's right, Captain Ron, Bobby, starring Kurt Russell, Martin Short, one of the most underrated comedies of the 1990s. It turns 30 on Sunday night, September the 18th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Facebook and YouTube. We're going to be watching the movie as well as sharing our thoughts and feelings about it. So it's like an audio commentary type deal. If you've never joined us for one of these presentations before, now is the time. It's on Sunday night, September the 18th. That is our next one at 8 p.m. EST. Also, great event coming up in the month of January. It is called the Multiverse Fundraiser, presented by the back of the cereal box. It is called the Ritter Rally. All the proceeds are going to be donated to the John Ritter Foundation on behalf of the memory and the legend of the late, great John Ritter. It's going to be on January 20th through the 22nd of 2023. Go to www.themultiversefundraiser.com. We're going to have celebrity guests. We're going to have panels. We're going to have podcasting superstars are going to be joining us that weekend. All kinds of wonderful and fun things. You're not going to want to miss out on the Multiverse Fundraiser, January 20th through the 22nd, 2023. Go to the website, check it out. A lot of great things coming your way very, very soon. All the links for everything that we're doing are located in the description of this video, as well as all the things we talked about here regarding Abraham Snow and the Abraham Snow universe. And it's written by Bobby Nash with cover art, done by some great people, including Jeffrey Hayes of Plasma Fire Graphics. So thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, smash that notification bell so you get notified of when our videos go up, when our videos go live. They're going to be a lot of fun, and we want you to be a part of it. We do this to entertain you, and we hope you enjoyed this content that we have here for you during the course of this special presentation. We cannot do this without you. Rising tide lifts all ships. In the meantime, stay healthy, stay strong, stay safe, and remember, just remember one thing. Life is better when reading. And also, one other thing. A rising tide lifts all ships. Take a look.
You've worked hard and written a great book. Now, it's time to give it a great cover. If you're an indie author or small press publisher, Plasmafire Graphics is your source for affordable cover illustration and graphic design. Plasmafire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
All right, I'm a little tired, I'm a little wired, and I think I deserve a little appreciation.